Hello friends, in this video today I will be presenting the evidence of climate change, and most of the information in this video has been taken from IPCC assessment reports. These reports provide the most updated and comprehensive information of the climate change. Therefore, these are very much relevant to those who are interested in this field, either individuals, communities, businesses or the government organizations. Most of you who are watching this probably know about IPCC, but a little bit information has been included here. The IPCC, that is Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, was established in 1988 by the World Meteorological Organization and the United Nations Environment Programme. It has currently 95 members countries that are members of either WMO or United Nations. The three working groups of IPCC work on physical science basis of climate change, its impacts, adaptation, vulnerability assessment, and mitigation. It has one task force that works on the calculation and reporting greenhouse gases emissions and removals. IPCC publishes its comprehensive scientific assessment report in every 6 to 7 years. It has also published many special reports. The main objective of the organization is to make aware the government about the scientific, technical, and social economic information about climate change that can be used to frame the comprehensive set of climate policies. Here comes the evidences from latest IPCC report AR6. IPCC has released its sixth assessment report, the physical science basis, in August 2021, which has lots of important information. The annual average concentration of carbon dioxide has been reached 410 parts per million in 2019 since 1750, that means since pre-industrial societal level. The increase in greenhouse gases level in 2019 from 2011 for carbon dioxide, methane and nitrous oxide is reported as 19 ppm, 63 ppb and 8 ppb respectively. The level of carbon dioxide, methane and nitrous oxide has been increased more than 47%, 156% and 23% respectively in 2019 since 1750. With increasing warming in each successive decade, the average increase in temperature over land has been reached 1.09 degrees centigrade and over the ocean 0.88 degrees centigrade in 2011 to 2020, that means in the recent decade, which resulted in overall global surface temperature of 0.99 degrees centigrade in 2 decades, 2001 to 2020, then 1850 to 1900 levels. The annual average ice area of Arctic Sea has reached its lowest level in the last ending decade since 1850. Climate sensitivity of 3 degrees centigrade has been reported. It can be defined as the quantity used to estimate the response of climate system to radiative forcing. Global mean sea level increased by 0.20 meter between 1901 and 2018. This slide shows the important climate change evidences from the IPCC 5th assessment report published in the year 2014. So earlier, the year 5 reported 391 ppm concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere in 2011 since 1750, which has reached 410 ppm in 2019, reported in AR6. The increment of 150% methane and 20% nitrous oxide in 2011 since 1750 has been reported in AR5. Overall, global surface temperature rise of 0.78 degrees centigrade has been found from average of 1850 to 1900 to 2003 to 2012. The combined land and ocean warming of 0.85 degrees centigrade has been calculated over the period 1880 to 2012. Troposphere and upper ocean have been warming since mid-century, especially the temperature of upper 75-meter layer of ocean has been increased at the rate of 0.11 degrees centigrade per decade over the period of 1971 to 2010. Over the period of 1975 to 2012, 3.5 to 4.1% per decade rate of decrease in annual mean Arctic sea ice has been assessed under very likely range. That means it can be said with 90 to 100% probability. Global average sea level rise rate has also increased from 1.7 millimeter per year over 1901 to 2010 to 3.2 mm per year over the period 1993 to 2010. Along with that, a lot of extreme weather events can be seen across globe over the last decades and in recent times. Frequent and intense hot extremes, less frequent and less intense cold extremes, heavy precipitation, increase in agricultural and ecological droughts are the evidences and results of the human-induced climate change primarily. Shifting of tropical cyclones in the western North Pacific reach towards northward and their frequency has been increased over the last 4 decades. Occurrence of compound extreme events such as concurrent heat waves and droughts, compound flooding, compound fire weather conditions, or concurrent extremes at different locations have been become more probable due to human influenced climate change. You can see the table. The events that were used to happen once in every 10 or 15 years, it is noticeable how their frequency would increase for different warming levels. For example, heavy precipitation over land that used to happen once in 10 years can increase in number of times if the warming levels increase. Now, this table shows the occurrence of some climate change event due to anthropogenic activities, means due to human caused influence with a certain level of likelihood. Virtually certain means likelihood or probability is 99 to 100%, and very likely means likelihood or probability is between 90 to 100%. Both are very high. So I have included only these two levels. The other categories of events also has been specified in the report by likely, unlikely. So you can read and get the information from there. The previous slide was human caused climate change reported in AR6 of IPCC. The same has been covered from AR5. You can see the only one event of global temperature had been told with most percentage of probability in AR5. So the influence of anthropogenic activities, human caused environmental degradation and climate change events in AR6 are being told with more certainty than in AR5. So you must have heard about the SSPs and RCP. So SSP, shared socio-economic pathways, are the possible trends in the societal evolution over the years till 2100. SSPs consist of two parts: the qualitative part as narratives and quantitative measures of development in terms of national population, urbanization and GDP. The 5 SSPs are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first is about sustainability. The second one is the middle of the road, which is kind of business as usual scenario. This SSP 3 is regional rivalry. The fourth is inequality. The fifth is fossil fuel intensive development. That means the most possible use of the fossil fuel is considered in the scenario. The next RCPs is representative concentration pathways have been assessed by working group 1 in AR5 to relate the anthropogenic emissions to the climate change and specifically the radiative forcing with the level of carbon dioxide. So the 4 RCPs have been presented in AR5 relative to the radiative forcing levels of 2.6, 4.5, 6 and 8.5 watts per meter square, and they correspond to 450, 650, 850 and 1370 parts per million carbon dioxide equivalent in the year of 2100. AR6 assessed the climate response for 5 illustrative scenarios to explore the possible implications of anthropogenic activities in future, considering wider range of greenhouse gases, land use and the air pollutants. In SSP XY, X stands for the respective SSPs and Y stands for the proximate radiative forcing level in 2100. The scenarios are assumed with base year 2015. In the first two scenarios, 1 to 1.9 and SSP 1 to 2.6, these are low emission level scenarios, and in the first one, the net zero would expected to reach around 2050, and in 1 to 2.6, the net zero is expected to reach after 2050. The middle one, 2 to 4.5, is kind of business as usual scenario. That means the emissions would be remaining around current levels. In the fourth and fifth scenarios, the emissions are considered high, and it is expected that the emissions will roughly double from current levels by 2100 in 3 to 7, and in 5 to 8.5, the emissions will roughly double from current levels by 2050. On the other hand, Year 5 of IPCC used RCPs for climate model simulations. The following RCPs have been defined by their approximate total radiative forcing in 2100 relative to 1750. These are RCP 2.6, 4.5, 6 and 8.5. So now you can see under all the 5 scenarios in AR6, global warming of at least 1.5 degrees centigrade is projected to exceed during the 21st century compared to 1850 to 1900. The projections under very likely range are divided into 3 time period categories. In the near term, the probability of reaching 1.5 degrees centigrade even under SSP 1 to 1.9 scenario is greater than 50% as reported by IPCC in the latest report. The projections of change in global mean temperature have been shown under 4 scenarios starting from SSP 1 to 2.6 for near term, that is grey shaded region, relative to 1850 to 1900. You can notice that under the scenario of current levels of emission, the change in the near term is more than 1.5 degrees centigrade, and it is near 3 degrees centigrade till the year 2100. These graphs have been drawn with the help of AR6W Working Group 1 Interactive Atlas tool. The findings of AR6 can be explored and synthesized more using this tool. There are 63 Working Group 1 reference regions across which historical models, model projections, observations and paleoclimatic analysis could be performed for different variables, for example mean temperature, precipitation, sea level, etc. And the link for the same is given in description also. You can see the same graphs in the form of global map with different scenarios here. The percentage change in annual global total precipitation for 4 scenarios relative to 1850 to 1900 levels is shown in the figure, and after the year 2000 you can notice that the rate of percentage change can be seen as increasing after the year 2000. Under the SSP 2 to 4.5, which is related to intermediate greenhouse gas emissions and level of carbon dioxide emissions are considered to remain as business as usual until the middle of the century, the change in total precipitation is shown for near term, mid term and long term. So you can notice the percentage change is increasing continuously over the century. Also, the long term projection of global sea level rise with baseline period 1995 to 2014 are shown here under 4 scenarios. The change is considerable even in the low emission scenario. The current level of emissions project more than 40 cm rise in sea level over the 21st century. The evidences in more details can be seen from IPCC report. As we have committed to some level of climate change, our response to climate change involves 2 approaches. The first is mitigation. It simply means reducing emissions and stabilizing the level of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. It involves to limit the cumulative carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases emissions like methane and nitrous oxide, as well as reduce resources of greenhouse gases. It also includes the enhancing the sinks that contribute in accumulating and storing these gases, such as the ocean, forest and soil. It is important to limit the anthropogenic emission, which is the primary reason of warming. So the challenge for policymakers is really big. They would need to manage how to incentivize and spread the use of clean technologies to power vehicles and produce electricity, and ultimately make it less economically advantageous to use fossil fuels. The next, adaptation, which means adapting to life as well as the whole ecosystem in a changing climate, both in present observed condition as well as in the projected state of the climate change. That means adapting to climate change, which is already in the pipeline, which is already occurring. The aim is to reduce our vulnerability to the harmful effects of climate change like sea level encroachment, more intense extreme weather events, or food insecurity. It also considers to grab or to make the most of any potential beneficial opportunities associated with climate change. For example, it may result in longer growing seasons or it may result in increased yields in some regions. The third one is adapting to climate change with more resilient infrastructure, securing water resources, improving crop production for dryland farming, protecting coastlines, and other measures. So the effort towards such arrangement that countries will suffer less from future climate shocks, enjoy greater productivity and growth, and could get more social and environmental benefits. Here I have added some references also. So that is all for this video. I hope you like the content. Thank you for the listening.